Today's game features Carlsen, Magnus playing as white against guest 1 as black. Move 0. White advances the pawn to d4. It's black's turn. Stakes a claim in the center with d5. Preparing to castle. Continuing, controls key squares with the pawn. At this point, maneuvers the knight to f6. White pawn takes pawn. Black knight takes pawn. White brings out the knight to f3. Black bishop slides to e6. White advances the pawn to e4. Black knight hops to b6, creating a solid foundation. We're at move 5. White completes minor piece development. So, black establishes a pawn on f5. Not ideal. White continues with places the knight on g5, with time becoming a factor. Black queen to d7. White completes minor piece development. That doesn't look right. Black establishes a pawn on c6. What a blunder. White knight snaps off the bishop. Black queen takes knight, a sacrifice. A questionable choice. So, white develops the knight to c7, checking the king. At this point, black king moves to d8, a mistake. Move 10. White knight snaps up the queen. Checking the king, black responds with king to e8. It's white's turn. Maneuvers the knight to c7, and that's check. Black king moves to d8, a forcing continuation. White repositions the bishop, a mistake. Meanwhile, brings the knight to d7. White pawn to d5. Black advances the pawn, with limited time available. Interestingly, white takes the pawn with the pawn, building a decisive advantage. Black bishop moves to b4, checking the exposed king. As time becomes precious, we're at move 15. White king steps to e2, creating tactical complications. Black doubles rooks on the file. White pawn takes knight on d7. And here, black takes the pawn with the knight, a questionable choice. White places the knight on e6. And check. Continuing, king walks to e7, provoking weaknesses. Meanwhile, white knight snaps up the pawn. At this point, rook to g8. An inaccuracy. White continues with repositions the bishop for better activity, putting the king in check. A questionable choice. Continuing, black bishop takes bishop, with limited time remaining. On move 20, white knight captures pawn. Check. Black plays king to e6. A huge mistake. White continues with queen snaps off the bishop. Checkmate is unavoidable in 5 moves. Giving check. Triangulation at work. Black responds with moves the king, with time running out. White queen captures the knight on d7. The game is essentially over. Checkmate in 4. And check. Forcing a response. Black steps the king to f8, with the clock ticking to 0. White slides the queen to e7, and there it is. Checkmate.